I can't tell exactly what got me into them besides the fact that I thought they were really cool.
Did you know that just weeks before his tragic murder, Rob Reiner looked into a camera and gave a warning that now sounds like a ghost speaking from the grave? He said, "This might be the last time you ever see me." It was a moment that sent chills down everyone's spine, but nobody knew how real that statement would become, or the horror waiting inside his own home. The chilling warning. Let us go back to September 2025. Rob Reiner sat down for an interview with CNN anchor Brianna Keilar. The topic was heavy. They were talking about the government and the media and the future of the country. Rob was scared. He was not just worried, he was terrified about where the United States was heading. He talked about how leaders try to control the media to control the message. He said if they stop people like him from talking, then we are in big trouble. He called it the start of authoritarian rule. That means a government that controls everything. But then he said something that makes no sense until now. He looked at the interviewer and said, "By the way, this may be the last time you ever see me." Why would he say that? Was he just being dramatic, or did he feel something coming? Rob was fighting hard against what he called Christian nationalism. He made a documentary called God and Country to show the dangers of mixing religion and politics. He said this movement was not about faith, but about power. He warned that if people believe God is on their side, they might do anything to get their way. He even said they might use violence. He told everyone that this movement was organized and strong and scary. Rob was making a lot of enemies with these words. But the real danger was not coming from the government or a political movement. It was much closer to home. It was living in his guest house. The tension in the Reiner house was building for a long time. Rob and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were trying to help their son, Nick Reiner. Nick was 32 years old. He had a long history of trouble with drugs. He started using when he was just 15. He went to rehab 17 times by the time he was 22. He even had a heart attack from using cocaine. He punched walls. He destroyed a television. He was in so much pain, and his parents were in pain too. They tried everything. They put him in treatment centers. They let him live in the guest house. They even made a movie with him called Being Charlie to try and heal their relationship. Rob directed it, and Nick wrote it. In the movie, the son tells the father, "I do not hate you." It was supposed to be a happy ending. Rob said making that movie was the best creative experience of his life. He thought they were getting better. He thought the worst was over. A nightmare at the party. But in December 2025, things got bad. Again, Nick was reportedly back on drugs. He was acting strange. The family was worried. And on the night of Saturday, December 13th, everything exploded. Rob and Michelle took Nick to a holiday party. It was at the home of the famous comedian Conan O'Brien. This was supposed to be a fun night. A lot of famous people were there. But Nick was not having fun. People at the party said he was acting crazy. He was freaking everyone out. He was walking up to guests and asking them if they were famous. He was wearing casual clothes like a hoodie while everyone else was dressed up. He looked out of place, and he acted out of place. Then something happened with the actor Bill Hader. Nick interrupted him while he was talking. Bill Hader told him it was a private conversation. Nick just stared at him blankly and then stormed off. It was awkward and scary. Rob saw this. He saw his son embarrassing the family and scaring the guests. Rob told Nick his behavior was inappropriate. Witnesses heard a very loud argument. It was a shouting match. Rob and Michelle were upset. They were embarrassed. They decided to leave the party early. Can you imagine the car ride home? The silence. The anger. Rob and Michelle took Nick back to their big house in Brentwood. They probably thought they could talk to him the next day. They probably thought he would sleep it off. They did not know that this was the last night of their lives. The next morning was Sunday, December 14th. It was the early morning hours. The sun was not up yet. Inside the master bedroom, Rob and Michelle were sleeping. Or maybe they were awake, arguing with Nick. We do not know exactly what was said, but we know what happened next. Nick Reiner came into that room. He had a knife, and he attacked the two people who loved him the most. The police report says they died from multiple sharp force injuries. That is a nice way of saying they were stabbed many times. It was violent. It was personal. After it was over, Nick did not call the police. He did not call for help. He left. He left his parents dead in their bedroom, and he ran away. Then came the afternoon. It was around 3:30 p.m. A massage therapist came to the gate. Rob had an appointment. The therapist rang the buzzer. No answer. She called the house. No answer. This was strange. Rob Reiner was a man who respected time. The therapist got worried. She called Rob's daughter, Romy Reiner. Romy lived nearby, right across the street. She had a key. Romy came over with her roommate. She probably thought her dad was just sleeping, or maybe he went out and forgot. She opened the door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. She walked to the master bedroom, and there she saw the nightmare. She saw her father. He was on the floor. There was blood. Romy did not even look for her mother. She saw her dad, and she screamed. She turned around and ran out of the house. She fled in anguish. She was in so much shock she did not know her mom was also dead in the same room. Her roommate called 911. The paramedics arrived. They went into the bedroom. They found Rob, and then they found Michelle. They were both gone. They had been dead for hours. The paramedics had to come out and tell Romy the truth. They told her both of her parents were dead. Can you imagine that pain? Losing both best friends in 1 second. The manhunt. The police arrived fast. They taped off the street. Helicopters flew overhead. The news spread like fire. Rob Reiner was dead. Michelle Reiner was dead. It was a double homicide. But who did it? There was no sign of a break-in. Nothing was stolen. It looked like an inside job. The police looked at the family. They knew Nick lived in the guest house. They knew about the trouble. They knew about the fight at the party. But Nick was gone. The guest house was empty. The manhunt began. Where was Nick Reiner? Was he running to Mexico? Was he hiding in the mountains? No. He was doing something so normal it is terrifying. Cameras at a gas station caught him. It was an Arco gas station near the University of Southern California. This is about 15 miles away from the crime scene. It was Sunday night, hours after the murder. The video shows Nick walking into the store. He is wearing a blue windbreaker with a thick green and white stripe. He has a blue baseball cap on. He is carrying a red backpack. He does not look like a man who just killed his parents. He looks calm. He walks down the aisle. He opens the fridge. He grabs a Gatorade. He waits in line. He pays for his drink. He walks out. He was just buying a drink while the police were swarming his house, while his sister was crying on the lawn. Nick was buying a Gatorade. This calm behavior is what scares experts the most. It shows he was not panicking. He was just going on with his day. The police found him near the gas station. It was around 9:15 p.m. He was standing near the university campus. They surrounded him. He did not fight. He raised his hands. They arrested him. They took him to jail. He was held without bail. When the news came out, the world was in shock. Rob Reiner was a legend. He played meathead on All in the Family. He directed The Princess Bride and Stand By Me. He made us laugh and cry. And now he was gone in the worst way possible. But the drama was not over. The politics came into it. Remember Rob's warning about the country. Remember how he fought against Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump had something to say about Rob's death, and it was not kind. Donald Trump went on his social media site, Truth Social. He wrote a post that shocked people. He said Rob Reiner was a tortured and struggling man. That part was maybe okay. But then he said Rob died because of the anger he caused others. He said Rob had a disease called Trump derangement syndrome. He basically blamed Rob's politics for his death. He called him deranged. He mocked him. People were furious. They said it was cruel to talk about a murder victim like that. One politician called it a new low. Another said it was disgusting. Rob Reiner had just been stabbed to death by his son, and the former president was attacking him. It showed how divided the country had become, just like Rob warned. But Rob's real friends in Hollywood had a different message. They wanted to remember the love. Billy Crystal was Rob's best friend. He starred in When Harry Met Sally. Billy Crystal and other friends like Larry David and Albert Brooks wrote a beautiful statement. They did not talk about the murder. They talked about the man. They said Rob was a master storyteller. They said he was the best at making us feel things. They quoted a line from the movie It Is a Wonderful Life. They said each man's life touches so many other lives, and when he is not around, he leaves an awful hole. They said, we have no idea how big that hole is. Sally Struthers also spoke up. She played Rob's wife Gloria on All in the Family. She told a story about how Rob taught her to be a better actor. She used to get mad when her lines were cut from the show. Rob told her to stop worrying about herself. He said, make the show more important than your part. She never forgot that. She was devastated. But what about Nick? What happened to the son who did this? Nick Reiner appeared in court a few days later. He looked different. He was wearing a blue vest. It was a suicide prevention smock. That means the jail was afraid he would hurt himself. He had shackles on his hands and feet. He did not say much. The judge asked him if he understood his rights. Nick just said, "Yes, Your Honor." He did not enter a plea. His lawyer said he was not medically cleared to be there at first. That means he might have been having a mental breakdown, or maybe he was coming down from drugs. The charges are heavy. 2 counts of first-degree murder and a special allegation for using a knife. This means Nick could face the death penalty, or he could spend the rest of his life in prison without parole. The district attorney said it was a horrific crime. He said Nick killed them in the early morning hours and fled. Now we have to ask why. Why did this happen? Experts say this is a case of parricide. That is when a child kills their parents. It is very rare. Usually it happens when the child has a bad mental illness, like schizophrenia, or a bad drug problem. Nick had both. Or at least he had the drug problem. Some reports said he was diagnosed with schizophrenia recently. Others say he was just on drugs. But the mix of drugs and dependency is dangerous. Nick lived in the guest house. He relied on his parents for money and housing, but he also resented them. He felt like they were controlling him. In his podcast interviews from years ago, he talked about how his parents tried to fix him. He said they sent him to places that did not help. He said he felt like a failure. He said he punched walls when he was angry. The warning signs were there for years. The sad part is that Rob and Michelle never gave up on him. They could have kicked him out. They could have cut him off, but they kept him close. They brought him to the party. They tried to include him. They loved him until the very end. And that love is what put them in danger. There is one more message from Rob Reiner that we need to hear. It came out after he died. It was a video he recorded for Holocaust survivors. Rob was Jewish. His wife's mother survived Auschwitz. Rob felt a deep connection to that history. In the video, Rob looks at the camera. He looks tired, but strong. He tells the survivors to be resilient. He says, "We are living in a scary time." He says what is happening in the country reminds him of the bad things in the past. He says we have to hold on to our democracy. He says, let us be resilient. He recorded that video just weeks before he died. He was talking about saving the country, but he was also talking about survival. He did not know he would not survive. He did not know his own son would be the one to end his life. So what do we make of this tragedy? It is a story of a family broken by addiction. It is a story of a country divided by anger. And it is a story of a man who tried to warn us about the darkness. Rob Reiner spent his life telling stories. He gave us fairy tales and comedies. He gave us heroes and villains. But his final story was a tragedy. He warned us that this might be the last time we see him, and he was right. But he also told us to be resilient. He told us to hold on. The investigation is still going on. We are waiting to hear what Nick says in court. We are waiting to see if he pleads insanity. We are waiting to see if the death penalty is put on the table. But no matter what happens in court, it will not bring Rob and Michelle back. Rob Reiner's legacy is huge, but this ending casts a shadow over it. It is hard to watch Being Charlie now without feeling sad. The movie was supposed to be a healing moment. It was art imitating life, but life ended up being much darker than the movie. In the movie, the family survives. In real life, they did not. Looking forward, we will be watching the court dates closely. The next one is in January. We will see if Nick speaks. We will see if he shows remorse. We will see if the family comes to court. It is going to be a long and painful process. Remember Rob Reiner for his work. Remember him for Meathead. Remember him for Wesley and Buttercup. Remember him for Harry and Sally. Do not let his death define his whole life. That is what his friends are asking. And that is what he would probably want, but do not ignore his warnings either. He saw darkness coming. He tried to tell us. He tried to tell us about the country. And he lived with darkness in his own backyard. He tried to fix it with love. But sometimes love is not enough to stop the demons of addiction and illness. Rob Reiner once said, "I hope I will be remembered as more than just a meathead." He definitely will be. He will be remembered as a legend, a fighter, and a father who tried his best until the very end. Rob also spoke about this struggle. He admitted he made mistakes. He said he listened to experts with diplomas on their walls instead of listening to his son. He said he regretted that. He said he should have trusted his gut. He was trying to be a good dad. He was trying to learn. He said making the movie Being Charlie made him a better father. He thought they had turned a corner. It is heartbreaking to read those words now. He thought he had saved his son, but you can never really know what is going on inside someone else's head. And think about the movie Stand By Me. Rob directed that. It is about young boys growing up and dealing with pain and death. It is about friendship. Rob understood the pain of growing up. He understood the dark side of youth. Maybe that is why he tried so hard to help Nick. He saw the pain in him. He wanted to fix it. But the real world does not have a script. You cannot yell cut. You cannot rewrite the ending. The ending of the Rob Reiner story is tragic and final. The police found the knife at the scene. It is a key piece of evidence. They will test it for DNA. They will test it for fingerprints. They want to be 100% sure. But with Nick fleeing the scene and the history of conflict, the case seems strong. The prosecutor is not taking any chances. He is charging special circumstances. That means he wants the maximum punishment possible. We also learned that Romy, the daughter who found them, lives right across the street. She was so close. She probably saw her parents every day. She was the one who had to see the horror. That trauma will last forever. She told the police right away that her brother was dangerous. She knew. The whole family knew he was a ticking time bomb, but they hoped it would never go off. The Hollywood community is rallying around Romy and Jake. They are protecting them. They are asking for privacy. But the world wants answers. We want to know why. We want to make sense of the senseless. As we wait for the trial, we can look back at Rob's work with new eyes. We can see the deep emotion in his films. We can see the passion in his activism. We can see a man who cared deeply about the world and his family. He gave us so much, and he was taken from us too soon. The statement, "This may be the last time you ever see me," will go down in history. It is one of those moments that makes you wonder if people can sense their own fate. Rob Reiner was a storyteller to the end, and he left us with a mystery and a tragedy that we will be talking about for a long time.